Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Canales' Crazy Comic Corner. Today, we're going to take a trip down to memory lane. We're going back to Spain, and I'm going to tell you, about this comic that, for me, this was my childhood. Not only that, this was a perfect 80s comic. It reads like an 80s movie. Ironically, because it's Spanish, but it reads like something like, I don't know, The Goonies or Gremlins or Mac and Me. This comic is called Mott, and it's drawn by great Spanish artist Alfonso Aspiri. By the way, this is a Basque surname, just so you know. We Basques are everywhere. And by this guy Nacho. This is the writer. This guy was actually quite prolific in comic writing back in the 1980s, 1990s, back when there was still hope for Spanish comic books, you know. But yeah, I freaking love this comic, and not only because it makes me nostalgic. It's a legitimately good comic. I mean, check the art. This is not just the cover. This is the whole comic is like that. Also, if you know my style, my drawing style, that is, you probably notice that there are similarities. I'm not going to say that I'm as good as Alfonso Spiri, but you know, the way he draws the fabric, and you know, those brisk, almost geometric lines, the sketchy style. This guy was and still is a huge influence on me. So yeah, as you can see, the art is gorgeous. I love this thing. But not only that, the story is also great. The story is pure 80s. It's of the boy meets monster subgenre, and it's the story of this kid who's called Leo, or Leo, because you know, in this comic book everyone has an ambiguous name. And I think that's pretty smart. I've done that quite a lot myself. The writer gives them all ambiguous names, so this comic could really be set in any country because all countries have someone called Leo. So yeah, this kid called Leo lives a clear life of privilege in his parents' massive house. You know, scratching his balls all day, enslaved to the TV. Remember when in the 80s and 90s there was this widespread concern about kids being too hooked on television? Well, yeah, there you go. We're back to the 90s. This is from 1989, if I remember correctly. Yeah, there you go, 1989. So yeah, this kid lives what is clearly a life of privilege yet boredom when out of the blue, a freaking massive fat ass monster pops out of nowhere and begins to make his life complicated, so to speak. Well, you know how it goes. As I said, this is the boy meets monster genre, so they become friends, even though he's one big scary motherfucker. And he takes Leo on several adventures because Mott, this is his name, the creature's name. Mott has the uncanny ability to open dimensional portals, which, if you ask me, is an insanely cool power. And this plus the early, well, not early, but you know, the Chris Claremont Excalibur comics were probably the reason why I'm such a fan of the parallel universes and alternate dimensions and all that, when you know, when used as a trope in a comic. But yeah. Mott instantly takes a liking to Leo, and he takes him on several adventures through the multiverse, so to speak, because their first stop is this parallel world, which is some kind of tropical planet. Just so you know, Aspiri was also featured on several issues of Heavy Metal magazine. He's one of the old school Spanish heavy metal artists, such as I must say. So, you know, this whole aliens living on a tropical planet, and we're not sure if this is science fiction or sword and sorcery. Well, this is typically old school sci-fi. So yeah, they get transported to this planet, and they get it captured by this tribe of humanoids, and uh, nothing makes sense, but well, it's not supposed to, because it's a crazy adventure. As I say, this is the story about a kid who randomly meets a monster, and they travel through the multiverse. So yeah, and this is just the first issue. The first issue, as you can see, it's got great art. It's also great. It's also got great writing, because here's a funny thing. When I read about this guy, about Mod the Monster, when I was a kid, I thought, wow, it would be so cool to be like him, to be a big, fat, devil may care bastard who just cracks jokes all the time. And I think that's what I've become with age. It's funny, huh? I think am I Mod IRL, guys? Do I travel through the multiverse? Except it's not the multiverse, but it's the internet, and I go on crazy adventures with my my online friends, and I get stuck by weird humanoid creatures. I'd say yes. But that's just me. So yeah, we go from alien. Excuse me, the power cord. We go from alien tribesmen and hot alien tribeswomen, I might add. Yeah, this comic helped me get rid of my innocence back in the day. I mean, come on. But yeah, we go from blue alien tribesmen to a samurai fighting a dragon, samurai-like creature, guy fighting a dragon, and Mod goes to intervene, and the samurai tells him, "Halt, creature, this is a fight that I must endure alone." And Mod was like, "Fuck you. This guy's my friend." The dragon is actually my friend, because, they're both fat-ass monsters. Fat-ass monsters unite. And yeah, we go from blue alien tribesmen to alien samurais fighting dragons to a civilized, an old, eons old robot. Eons old civilization of robots. This is like pretty much Skynet. Well, this is crazy, and it's completely random, and I love it, because one of the things that this comic has is that you never know what you're going to read next. It has that old sci-fi feel to it. Like, I don't know. This reminds me of Labyrinth. This is the kind of story which is like kind of random, but it's so stylishly done and so well developed, so well narrated, that it's great nonetheless. So yeah, a giant evil supercomputer, which is not so evil after all, and it just missed the R2D2 like component here, right under its virtual chain, and then they save the day, and the monster is still around. I freaking love this comic. This comic is great. I don't think you can find it in English, I'm sorry, but you can, however, find the animated show, the cartoon that they made based on this comic. It's not nearly as good. It's not nearly as creative and as inspired. But if you're curious so as to what this thing is, yeah, I don't know, check it out. Let me know what you think. Yeah, I have the second volume right here. Second volume is also cool, and it's also a trope that I like to use when I make my own stories, and it's the old. It's called Mod and the Collector. It's the maybe a bit cliche, but I like it. The old rich bored guy who likes to collect supernatural creatures. He has a. Yeah, I should have put some kind of marker. Yeah, he has a museum full of supernatural creatures, and of course he has noticed Mod, and he wants to add him to his collection. And he's an asshole, and he has a bunch of evil corporate henchmen who get punished when they screw up. Cliché yet cool. I like this line. Somehow, since he's able to travel through the multiverse, Mod is also able to travel to video games. He's able to transport himself into video games for some reason. Keep in mind, this is 1990, so I mean, this is how video games were back then. And Leo asks him, how the hell did you get into the computer? And he says, well, through the new subway line. Of course. That's the right answer. Well, see why I keep saying that I'm this guy. I'm this guy in real life. I'm also fat and charming, just so you know. But yeah, obscure, little-known Spanish comic, which is nonetheless great. And I don't think you can get it in English. But, well, you can try and watch a cartoon and, tell me what you think about it. Time for the plug. Remember to back the Abductables, sci-fi action comedy about what happens when aliens abduct the wrong man and pay the price. Come on. We only have $700 to go, guys. But if you do not like sci-fi action comedies, well, you can also back Necromancer, Tombstone Blues, which is also, it's not as good, but I'm getting there. Slowly and painfully. So yeah, go back any of these two campaigns in which I'm involved. That was all for tonight. Have fun and stay awesome.